Question 1. Evaluate each of the following. No calculators allowed. So part 1, we have bracket root 3 bracket squared, which means root 3 multiplied by root 3. So what's going to happen is the square root and the squared will cancel each other out, and you'll just be left with a 3. And this is because root 3 multiplied by root 3 gives us 3. Just like root x multiplied by root x gives us x. So these two roots are stuck together, and anything stuck together in maths means multiply. So root x multiplied by root x gives us x. So root 3 to be squared means root 3 multiplied by root 3, which will give us 3. But it is handy to know and to learn off that a square root and a squared will cancel each other out, because it just makes these questions a lot quicker. So in the same way, the square root of 6 to be squared, the square root and the squared will cancel, leaving us with 6, leaving us with what's inside the surd. And in the same way, the square root of 17 to be squared, the root and the squared will cancel, leaving us with 17. The square root of 19 to be squared, the square root and the squared will cancel, leaving us with 19. And the square root of 30 to be squared, the square root and the squared will cancel, leaving us with 30. Part 6 is 2 root 7 to be squared. So these next few questions are a little bit different to the ones we just saw, because there's a number stuck in front of each of the surds this time. So we're going to square both parts. So the 2, which is stuck in front of the root 7, that will be squared. And then the root 7 will be squared itself as well. So 2 root 7 to be squared is the same thing as 2 squared multiplied by root 7 squared. 2 squared means 2 times 2, which is 4. And the square root of 7 to be squared, again, the square root and the squared will cancel, leaving us with 7. And then we multiply 4 by 7 is 28. So 2 root 7 to be squared will give us 28. You can check this by putting it into the calculator, but it is important that you can do it out the long way. In the same way, 5 root 10 to be squared, we're going to square both parts. So we have 5 squared multiplied by root 10 squared. 5 squared is 25, and root 10 to be squared, the root and the squared will cancel, leaving us with 10. 25 times 10 is 250. In the same way, 2 root 5 to be squared is 2 squared multiplied by root 5 to be squared. 2 squared is 4. Root 5 to be squared, the root and the squared will cancel, leaving us with 5. 4 by 5 is 20. 10 root 2 to be squared is 10 squared multiplied by root 2 squared. 10 squared is 100. Root 2 to be squared, the root and the squared cancel, leaving us with 2. And 100 times 2 is 200. And then question 10. 3 root 15 to be squared will give us 3 squared multiplied by root 15 to be squared. And 3 squared is 9. And root 15 to be squared, the root and the squared will cancel, leaving us with 15. And 9 times 15 is 135.